I've been wanting to make more content revolving around the various things that anime brings to the entertainment industry. I believe animation in general, it spans the limits of the emotional spectrum at which to like perceive subtle to intense facial expressions or body language and so much more. I've been actually dying to make a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure video because I really love JoJo's, but it's been a long time since I've watched it, so I would need to like rewatch it to make myself credible again, to know what's going on, because it is a roller coaster. However, I just finished season 1 of Kaiju number 8, and boy do I have some things to say about it. Now, there are going to be spoilers in this video, so let's put our Defense Force gear on and get ready to dive into Kaiju number 8. I love monsters. The Godzilla franchise has always fascinated me, and recently I've just started watching some of the newer movies, which I was kind of hesitant on because a lot of people said that the story revolving the humans was kind of bad. So I kind of got inserted into Godzilla -1 first. I know it's not the same as like the MonsterVerse that they have with King Kong and etc. But I really dove into -1 and just absolutely fell in love with it. The story with all the humans is fantastic. So episode 1 of Kaiju number 8. The Man Who Became a Kaiju. This was kind of a spoiler for me. I don't know why they did this, but I guess if that's what the show is about, then, you know, the show must go on. So we're going to give the show the benefit of the doubt and introduce Kafka Hibino. Being a 32-year-old protagonist is kind of really cool, considering there's so many shonen protagonists that are young teenagers, either chasing their dreams or their absent parents. Kafka is employed as part of the Kaiju disposal unit, where we get jump scared by this pretty intense scene of a Kaiju being fleshed out for scraps. Call me what you want, but I've always had some sort of emotional like investment in a lot of the monsters in the MonsterVerse. So seeing like a Kaiju get completely torn apart for like scraps and fleshed out for their meat, skin, and bones, it kind of took me off guard because it's a very realistic approach that they took for this. Forgive me for butchering the pronunciation of his name the same way that they're butchering this Kaiju right now. Naoya Matsumoto and Production IG, the production company that animated it, portrayed the cleaning and disposal of various Kaiju body parts and fluids in a very intense and creative way. Kafka has been trying to get into the Defense Force for quite some time now, but has failed time and time again. His motive is to catch up to his childhood friend, a captain in the Defense Force known as Mina Ashiro.
And leading these brave guardians into battle was none other than Captain Mina Ashiro.
Our next main protagonist is Reno Ichikawa, a younger man who's joined the disposal unit to learn and earn before heading off to the Defense Force himself. It was a bit easy to misread Ichikawa here in the beginning because he kind of seemed like he was being rude to his superiors, but in all reality, he just kind of seemed like that he was just being straight up with them. I thought he was being rude, like a little prick, you know, like a jerk, but it turns out he was just a very straightforward character and straight to the point. Ichikawa motivates Kafka to try to get into the Defense Force again, as the age requirement is getting lowered and his time is running out. Kafka and Ichikawa prepare to clock out for the day when they're attacked by a pretty nasty Kaiju.
Hey, listen, that wasn't me trying to
We had some great scenes of Kafka taking charge and luring the Kaiju away while Ichikawa called for help. The two of them create a bond just before a Florida mosquito shows up and forces itself down Kafka's throat, effectively turning him into Kaiju number 8.
Where did you go? It's still me in here!
We get this obvious hero scene of him saving a little girl and her mother from a Kaiju while just barely eluding the Defense Force. Off rip here, we're seeing a lot of great shonen formula where it's just, you know, heroes and friendship. I know a lot of people can get tired of that trope. I understand where it implies, like where it can work, where it can be applied to. I just hope this isn't something that they like draw out too hard. Kafka deals with his anxiety about how becoming a Kaiju could ruin his chances of getting into the Defense Force, but is convinced to keep trying and actually ends up taking the exams again. The Kaiju design, specifically Kaiju number 8, is absolutely badass. Ichikawa and Kafka end up meeting Kikaru Shinomiya, the prodigy daughter of the Director General of the entire Defense Force. Sounds like she's got a lot on her plate. She comes off as fairly pretentious, making her mission to torture Kafka as much as possible by humiliating him for being older and weaker than the rest of them. We're introduced to a ton of interesting different colored hair supporting characters who did right into their power scaling. I don't understand how the combat power works. The kaiju stuff in the suit is supposed to draw out someone's inner power, right? It's supposed to draw out their inner power. But what the fuck does that mean? Is that like, is it their ki, their chakra? Is it just like their inner ability, like what, like their stats? It's just like their Fallout stats. And also, it seems to really affect how their weaponry works. Where people with lower combat power, their weapons just barely pierce, the skins, the hard, tough exteriors of kaiju, while people who have a higher combat power just blast right through them, which I don't understand because they never explain any connection between the suit and the weaponry. So I'm gonna have to dock a point here for the power scaling because it really just doesn't make sense. It feels like just arbitrary percentages set in place to make some kind of sense out of it, but it really doesn't. After the physical portion of the exams, the trainees are taken to a supervised training ground to fight real kaiju. Kafka, not wanting to use his kaiju powers, relies on his knowledge of kaiju to give support to his comrades. The party is crashed by a humanoid kaiju known as Kaiju number 9, whose introduction is a gnarly display of finger pistol. No, wait, that's the wrong anime. Spirit gun! Okay, you get the point. He made Shinomiya completely helpless before Kafka had to show up to save her life, revealing his secret to her. The only thing that I personally don't like about the animation is the same criticism that I had for My Hero Academia, is some of the best parts, they just dim the brightness so much, it's personal, it's a personal problem, it hurts my eyeballs. Stop doing it. Stop doing it. I can't see it.
You what? In one shot!
You dim the brightness so much for the best scenes, and suddenly I have a hard time noticing all the key details. The sudden burst of power and the sudden loss of Kafka's vitals being shown was enough for Vice Captain Hoshina to vouch for him to join the defense force as a cadet to investigate him. Seems his superiors are already getting suspicious of him. Kafka uses his knowledge of kaiju again to save everyone a ton of trouble on their first real mission by informing them that the corpses of the Yoju that they killed have reproductive organs that could give birth to more Yoju even after they died. Ichikawa and one of the supporting characters, Iharu, end up encountering Kaiju number 9 again. But effectively, Kafka just shows up and saves them again, and then number 9 just escapes. So it's just kind of a repeat, somewhat of a repeat of the last incident. It's basically the same thing as the last time that we've seen him, except we get to see Mina Ashiro blow up this massive mushroom kaiju, and Vice Captain Hoshina shows Kafka why he's in charge. The next major event in the show is that the kaiju strategically attack the 3rd Division by directly assaulting their base with exploding bird kaiju. Insert Angry Bird reference, but I'm not sponsored. Vice Captain Hoshina shows us why he's goated by taking on the leader of the assault, Kaiju number 10.
You let me worry about the
Number 10 becomes too much for Hoshina to handle as he's saved by Mina, but there is about to be a giant bird explosion and everyone's going to die. So Kafka transforms, revealing his secret, and saves everyone yet again. It's really fun to watch, and since it's only the first season, I'm gonna go ahead and anticipate that the stakes are going to be raised in the next season or 2, if there are more. Kafka surrenders himself to the defense force and he's transferred to be interrogated by the Director General himself. Director General Shinomiya busts out his gauntlets made from Kaiju number 2. He's trying to push Kafka to see if he would react like a human being or like a kaiju. Kafka ends up losing control of his powers, which I think makes this scene kind of hard to watch. It's the classic shonen anime trope of having a monster inside of you. And well, as cringe and overdone as that is, it really doesn't ruin the show for me, but it is kind of a big L on that part because we just see that so much. It's like, there's the monster inside of me. Right. Kafka stops himself from killing Director General Shinomiya, and Director General Shinomiya deems that Kafka shouldn't be executed, and he should continue as a member of the Defense Force so they can keep a close eye on him and use him for his powers. So another big shonen trope is the power of friendship. There's a lot going on here where it's just that, basically. Kaiju number 9 hasn't exactly accomplished anything so far. None of the main or supporting cast has died. The designs of the kaijus, specifically Kaiju number 8, they look phenomenal. Very Godzilla-esque. A lot of the lightning bolts and radiation just kind of like popping out of them. You know, the anime charge up with the There's a lot that the show does that is really good. Kafka is a pretty well-written character. It's pretty fun to tag along and see his growth as a human being. I'm giving Kaiju number 8 a solid 8 out of 10. It's a story about forgiveness and earning your place in the world through great effort. It's something that I love and I really enjoyed watching this. Well guys, that was my review of Kaiju number 8. Like and subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.